So here we are at week 11, session 1, speech writing. Our aim for this session is to recognise the assessment criteria for your speaking and listening and how to meet those criteria. Now your speaking and listening will make up 10% of your final grade. Overall today we're going to look at identifying suitable spoken language devices and paralinguistic devices that will engage your audience and help persuade them to come around to your way of thinking. The assessment criteria is here. There are only 3 criteria that you have to worry about in this session and in your speaking and listening. The first one is about your ideas, and you need to be able to identify and respond to challenging ideas and issues and use your data and research to support your arguments. So the expectation is that you'll use your coursework topic to develop a speech. Now they should be a challenging or complex issue to enable you to get the C for your coursework, so it should transfer quite easily to your speaking and listening. The next criteria is about your vocabulary choice. So you need a repertoire of vocabulary and structures, so how you structure your arguments and develop your speech to develop challenging arguments and including detailed analysis. So it's about how well and effectively you communicate your complex and challenging ideas. The final criteria is about engaging audience interest. And you need to be using confident interactive strategies to engage your audience interest. Now, when you do your short talk, you will take part in a short question and answer with your assessor and your audience. And you need to be listening closely to what the audience are asking of you and then respond thoughtfully to the questions they've asked you. You should have already revised a Forest. And as you know, this is the acronym that we use for writing persuasive pieces of text. Now, your speech or your short talk is in itself a persuasive piece of text, except this time you get to say it out loud rather than write it down. So exactly like we did for persuasive writing last week, we want to be using all the devices from a Forest. Now, you don't have to limit yourself to these. You can also use things like direct address or the use of we to help you align yourself with your audience and other aspects which we'll look at in a minute. Later on in the lesson we're going to look at 3 examples of a persuasive speech and get you to think about using what language devices and paralinguistic devices the writer or the speech giver are using. Now, paralinguistic and visual devices are the things that you've got at your disposal that you wouldn't have on a page. So that's your body language, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your gestures, and any visuals that you want to include. So images, graphs, posters, things that you might have in the background to support what you're saying. So, what makes an effective and engaging speech? Well, in a minute you're going to watch 3 extracts. Now, we don't expect you to be able to write speeches as good as these. These are professional speakers. They have professional speech writers to help them, and they're very famous speeches. One is from a film, but as a result is very well written, so don't worry too much about being as good as them, but if you could just use some of the devices they're using in their speech, you'll be well on your way to creating an engaging speech for your audience. We're going to look at Barack Obama's victory speech, just the first minute or so. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, which you've probably come across, again, only a couple of minutes ago of that speech, just to give you an example of what he's going on, what he's been using in his speech writing, as well as his paralinguistic devices, because he uses those exceptionally well. Now, another device we want to introduce is parallelism, which has been used in the 2 speeches previous and the next one we're going to show you. And it's where you've got similar grammatical components used next to each other to create sort of a balance and a rhythm. And it's therefore persuasive because it's repetitive in its rhythm and its meter. So we've got like father, like son, dead or alive, easy come, easy go. Now the next speech, which comes from the Charlie Chaplin movie The Great Dictator, uses parallelisms really, really well. It also uses rule of three in a similar way, and that, I guess, that switching between the parallelism and the rule of three really does help create a rhythm and an engaging, interesting speech to listen to. Also think about his paralinguistic devices. What's his body language doing at the beginning opposed to the end? What volume is he speaking at from the beginning compared to the end, and what is the effect of this? So engaging the audience has the following 5 band criteria. So it's really top 40 out of 40 speech will have sophisticated interactive strategies, and then they'll listen closely and interrogate the comments of their audience. So they won't just answer the questions, they'll question the audience back. Band 4, which is what we all need to be aiming for, is you're using confident interactive strategies. So your rhetorical devices, your direct address, your paralinguistic features that are going to engage your audience, so maintaining eye contact, using some gestures, open body language, and then listening and responding thoughtfully to your audience contributions. And that's where you need to be aiming.